Editor Newware here. Listen, you guys, these video interviews are long. And to be fair, all of them are long. I mean, I've had ones that were an hour to 4 hours long. So I'm breaking them up. However, I couldn't tell you how many videos this particular interview is going to be in, but I try to break them up between 20 and 30 minutes. So I'll leave a link in the description for the playlist for this interview, as well as the sequence in which this interview video is. I hope you guys enjoy, so let's just hop right back into it.
Yeah.
It could be quite difficult. I mean, I see it from other angles as well, but it's like you see everybody who makes it, they're all doing the same thing on their videos. It's like it's the women, it's the cars, it's the toys, it's the bling, it's all that extra stuff, and it's like, how happy are you really after? I mean, they probably don't get me wrong, because they got their money. But I mean, it's just there's so much that goes into it, and there's genuinely, and I've been saying it for years. I think underground I think the people in the underground is 10 times better than the mainstream, because like I would love to see one of the best underground rappers put on stage next to Drake and just see how they go. You know, like who do you really think is gonna be, get it going? I mean, fame versus actual skill. And I'm not saying Drake doesn't have any skill, but put him up against somebody who's actually inclined to have some lyrics behind their words. It's just it's like a dog versus a rabbit. It's gonna happen, so
different type of energy for sure.
And I don't know, it's what's difficult is because like in my head I see a lot of younger guys trying to get into it. Like every year there's always going to be a new, some up and coming new, and sometimes they have a team that you don't get to see behind the scenes, right? So my next question to you is like, do you have a team, and what does that look like for you?
No. I mean, I want one bad. For the same reason I said earlier, like I excel at making music, and it's the other elements that start to be overwhelming, because it's half the battle. When you make music, that takes up 30 hours of your week, just like making the songs. But then there's an extra like 80 hours that go into marketing and this and that and booking a show or something or doing all that other stuff, which I'm just always like, oh my God, I don't got time for this and that and, the rest of my life and all this. I'm like, damn. So, yeah, I wish I had a team. I do not have one. Yeah, was that all the question?
Yeah, that's it.
I was like, I wish I had one. I don't have one.
Yeah, I have a very small team. So I make music with my cousin. He's also a producer as well. His name's Jay Made It. So me and him, we host little sessions. We'll FaceTime each other. We'll just call, what you making right now? What you cooking up? Let me hear it. Really trying to boost each other to just be great. And have other producer friends, artist friends, but just more on the personal team is me and my cousin.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it creates a more stronger bond, being able to like say, oh, we both make music together, let's go make some music. Or you grow more with each other, like trying to bond in that way. You start vibing more. You're like, ooh, this is hard, yeah.
Right.
That's what's up, man. That's a tough part too. It's like, okay, you have a small team, you have no team. If you want a team, very similar to like wanting a mentor, it's like you have an idea what you want, right? And then you have to go out and really do a lot of legwork to achieve it. And sometimes it's really cool if you have someone that can really help you through that process. And unfortunately, not everybody has that ability or the time, or maybe like you did have a small team, but like they're not really as equipped as to what you're looking for. So now it's like, okay, now I got to have this tough conversation. Like, thank you for helping me, but moving forward, I don't need you. It's like, it could be really difficult, So, and this is like some of the questions I feel like sometimes aren't really asked in some of these kind of interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like almost it's as if it's an afterthought in some cases,
Yeah.
I got another softball question for you. So if you had been to a concert, or if you've been in a concert, have you ever had one where like you really didn't see a lot of your friends or family there?
Yeah. The Mears Park show. Most of I was doing all the marketing or, posting, doing all this stuff, made videos, all this and that. But actually, like, the fact of the matter is a lot of my friends at during that week were like out of town. My family I got 2 brothers. They got soccer games and all this other stuff going on. Dad's out of town, friends and all that stuff. So pretty much, I got to see one of my cousins showed up, which was awesome. And my mom ended up being able to make it. But a lot of my other friends weren't there. And yeah, I mean, that was, it is interesting when that happens. Cause I just work with it, it's, I'm there to do a show and perform for other people and see what other people are thinking too. But, you always do like to see when the people who are around you are like there, it makes you feel a little more like confident. You're like, oh, I got this, my crew's over there, J Money and some of them dudes pulled up with like full posses. They're just like absolutely hyping the hell out of them. And then you're like, oh man, that looks so much fun. But it is what it is.
It's a tough pill to swallow. I'm not gonna lie. When you're doing all the promoting, you're under the impression that people you're friends with, they know that you take this seriously. They know that you're passionate about this. So a lot of the times you're thinking like, oh man, is it really something with me? Or do you guys not vibe with the music? Do you not rock with it? So it starts to create that doubt in your head again. But I would say I dealt with that the first performance too. I had my mom, my sister, my girlfriend come, but apart from that, no one really came. So once it goes from shifting to just, oh, my family's performing, no, I'm just going to perform for the rest of the people here as if they were my own, and trying to switch the people that maybe weren't there for you to try and get them to rock with you a little bit is kind of when you go into more of just the performer mode and just being a professional about it.
That's also a tough one. I've over the years, I've gone to maybe a couple of friends deals when they kind of said, hey, I got this going on, and I'm a busy person. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but I mean, I could be working a regular 8 hours to 12 hours plus, and then I got to come to the studio and then do this. And then some of my friends are like, hey, I got this thing going on. It's like, I'll try to make it,
Yeah.
And, you hear about it, you understand it, you try to be, there. And sometimes it's like you said, it could be really tough when you want that support, and it's like that support didn't show up, and it's like, okay, like you said, now your thoughts start running. Is it the music? Is it they ain't vibing with me? Is it something else? And sometimes it's genuinely like, hey, things just came up. But that's also in time you kind of learn to, I think, at least from one person told me, it's like over time you start to learn like, okay, I have to separate like the people I really want there. Sometimes they're just not going to be there. And I can't take it personal because now I got to focus more on getting who's really going to be paying my check. Strangers, what I'm saying? Like my fans are going to be making me survive. My family can only do so much. So I guess my next question being, when you first started doing this, how much support did you have from your family?
When I first started, like it's been like a slow burn for me, I think. When I first started, like I think it took people a long time, including my family, to really understand like there was a certain point when it like switched from being like, oh, I'm putting out a couple songs, just kind of having fun. Oh, Spencer dropped a song, to where we are now, where it's like, oh no, this is like his whole life. He's working, but just to make money. As soon as that's done, like this is what he's doing. This is where he's going. And I think it's been slowly building from there. But I mean, truth be told, like my closest friends and my family, have supported me from day one. Like especially a couple of my close friends, like even in the early days, like it was me, like I said, my friend, me and him went to the studio for the first time to like record my song. And from there, he's been like along the way, he's checking the streams for me, like sends me updates and stuff. He always wished he could be at the show when he's out of town and stuff. New albums drop, and I don't hear anything about like from other people how it sounds, but like my 3 or 4 like close friends are always like, hey man, I listened to the new thing, it sounds so cool. So I think for the people, there's been a lot of like outer circle people who for a long time didn't really think this was anything, which I'm starting to turn that now. They're finally like, okay, I guess the kid's really going somewhere. Like, you know, they're they're starting to realize that. But like, I'm incredibly blessed that my inner circle has been like very supportive of me pretty much from the get-go. So,
and that could mean life. I mean, it means a lot. I mean, it's the validation you didn't think you needed or thought it was even that important, but it's like you do something and then finally you get some family support, and it's like, man, this is really. People don't realize, man, the family, it changes people's vibe, man. It makes, you know, it changes everything.
Especially in music, man. Like, we do this to like the whole, it's literally half of the battle. Half of it is making it, and then half of it is like sharing it and putting it out. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't have your friends and your family and people like really riding for you like that, you just feel so empty when you drop that song. You're just like, oh, this was sick. And then it just like, it feels like it just goes nowhere. And it like can be a really super, super like empty feeling. So like to have that is like an incredible blessing to those who, because I know that not all people have that, you know, which is like super, super sad, but it's an incredible blessing if you do.
I would kind of just chasing that validation from everyone. Like, oh, did you like my song? Did you like what I put out? My mom has been the biggest supporter since then. It took her to come to my first show for me to like really see that she actually liked my music. She had a good time. She was enjoying it. So I feel like most of my hurdle was once my mom actually saw the music I was doing and liked it, and she was dancing, having a good time to it. That killed any other like switch in my head that was like, oh, no one can tell me nothing now because my mom likes my music. Like
she did not have to do that, that's for sure.
She would have been honest. I don't like it.
Yeah,
she loved it.
You could have used a different word. You could have known when she said that she liked it and everything else changed from that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That, man, again, it's so important, and it's these are afterthoughts. And some people, it's a complete afterthought. Didn't even know it. They just, this is for me, and then they see their family going for it, and they're just like, yeah, that hit home, you know.
Yeah.
I guess the next question being, so if you had to mentor somebody, how do you think that would look?
Yeah, I mean, you know, right now, I think if I was to mentor somebody, I guess it'd be fairly similar to, I think, what you were talking about before, would just be like, especially because I don't have all the answers yet, you know, to where I think I could just like send somebody straight to the top. It's like, let me get there first. But you know, I think there's a lot of people who still are, you know, might be just starting or whatever, that I think, you know, for me, it's a lot of just like, it would be a lot of motivation and a lot of validation, and then help whenever they needed it, you know, just say like checking out their stuff, giving them pointers on stuff, you know, hey, send me your mix. What does it sound like? Send me your beats. What does it sound like? Let me sit down with you and let's make something and answer their questions and whatnot. But then other than that, just be like, yo, you know, just kind of be excited for what they got going on, and just try and be a good friend / help to them.
Yeah, just being a good supporter, I feel like can go a long way, even if you're just mentoring someone. I feel like if I was to step into that mentor role, I would give them all the information and knowledge that I wasn't given in my beginning. You know, how do we get started? You know, how long should my beat be? How long should the sample be? How long? Just all the basics. And, you know, if they're at a point where they're like, you know, I got all that down, you know, just not even maybe hold my hand, but just walk with me along this path. I'll do that. Whatever you need, we'll get that done. So I feel like just being the best support that you can be would be what I would give to someone.
Nice. Do you feel like some of the other artists in your age range has what it takes to really be an artist?
You said there were no tough questions. I think you know, I mean, to be entirely fair, I think there are some people who have it and some people don't. You know, you definitely hear, especially like the reason I'm here, the reason we're all here is because it's super accessible, and because it's an option for a lot of people, which is both great and also opens the door to, like, you know, you see there's 30,000 artists that I see their posts on Instagram every day at this point, you know, and you see songs just jammed in your head every single day. And I just think there's a lot that are, you know, are okay. That, you know, not you can always get out of that. You know, I don't think there's any point for anybody where it's like you could never get there, but there definitely are a lot where you just hear and you're like, okay, good for you.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays there's a lot of people who are just in love with the image of an artist and just being able to say, oh, I'm a rapper, I'll rap, just to get those cool points. But I never want to be the one to just doubt someone and be like, no, you can't make it. So I feel like everyone really can, but it just takes them on their own to be able to be like, no, I want to make something serious or something that's going to be recognized by everyone is great.
Fair.
Okay. That's different. Hey, you know what? Perfectly fine. I have my own opinion. I think some people just don't need to try. I've heard all kinds of things, but I think it's really cool though, getting that perspective. Like I've spoken to some people who are in their 30s that's been in the game for 15 years and are like, hey, we just need to say it for what it is. And then I've talked to some younger ones and they're like, no, everybody has an equal opportunity. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, and then there's me who's like, I'm not an artist at all. So my opinion probably doesn't count, but you know, but I can equally say the same thing about some of the A-list artists that are out there. It's like half the album is trash in my opinion, but I'm sure there are people out there that vibe the whole thing. You know, it's like, I don't know. I also grew up in the day and age where we had CDs and you guys have phones now, you know what I'm saying? So you had to skip track 2, 3, and 4 to get to 5 because that's really what you were there for, you know, but that's all different. I'm dating myself. I'm not even that old, man. I guess my next question being, what is one of your favorite rappers?
I mean, one of my favorites right now is for sure Tyler,
the creator.
Yeah. Yep. Just so far. I got into him a couple years back, like around when he dropped Flower Boy, which I think is when a lot of people like started to recognize him as who he is now. But it's like just the things he does with his production and with his, like, there's not a single, even the tracks I don't like are all like just different and interesting in some sort of way. And I don't like it for some specific reason that somebody else could totally like it for. But it's just like, I mean, I just love, there's not a lot of artists for me right now that I'm like so excited for when a new album comes out, because I'm like, I have no idea. You know, there's so many albums that come out where you're like, you know, it's going to be another album by this artist. But like Tyler, I've just been the past 3 albums have all been so different and so interesting in their own ways, where I'm just like, dude, whenever he's about to drop his next album, I'm gonna be hype all over again, be like, oh my God, I have no idea what this is going to sound like, other than it'll likely be Tyler, the creator, doing it. And I'm just like, it just makes the listening like so much fun. He's just incredible.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's a played out answer at this point, but Kanye, he's one of my biggest inspirations, people I take after. A reason I got into sampling the old school tracks, trying to add just weird elements to tracks that people may have not have heard. And like you said, you always, with Tyler, you know that there's gonna be something that you play and listen to. Kanye, you never know if you're gonna get the album, but you know when you get it, it'll be something that people talk about. And I feel like I take a lot just on the production side, and just, I don't want to say the way he moves, but just the way he like operates, I take from him. One of my inspirations.
Yeah, Kanye. Yeah. Kanye is another one of mine for sure. Same like reasons, just so creative. So far.
I got 2.
Yeah.
And a third one that's kind of out of the scope, but I like Ill Mind. I love his original stuff. I love how it's like the way he articulates, he functions. I don't know if you guys even know who that is, but yeah, Ill Mind is I like his stuff. Tyler, Creator, I like his older stuff. So Flower Boy was kind of like when I started to kind of drip off a little bit, but prior to that, I was always vibing with him. He also had something on Adult Swim growing up too, so it's kind of like his stuff. Like that was when I kind of like, okay, I got busy. I graduated and I started working. I was like, man, my priorities was all over the place, and I kind of fell off the cliff after that. But and believe it or not, the Gorillaz is probably the only people I would like wait for an album to drop. And even if there's like 70% that like the songs I don't like, I'm still vibing with it just because I love the animation side of what they do.
Mhm.
I love like how they put everything together, the collabs that they've been up to. Like, I don't know. I'm a Reddit and Imgur guy. So when on Reddit, when they like, yo, did they just drop something? They kind of just snuck that in there. I was like, what? And I had to go look it up. And then everybody in the comment section was like, I don't care if you hated it. I don't care if you loved it. I just want to know what your thoughts were on it. And everybody, was like a huge community there. There's not many artists that you can really look to that has that fan base that's just like, I just want to know what your thoughts were. You know, like you just have the fan base is getting together and they're trying to like work together with it. So
yeah.
I guess my next question is, I guess, like, when you get to a certain point in your career, right? Do you hope to be able to really reconnect with your fans? Like, are you afraid of like making content for your fans, or do you want to make content that's like what you want, and then hopefully your fans stay true to that? If that makes sense to you.
No, that's a very fair one. I mean, I even still kind of battle with that. Like there's a few songs that I've put out that end up being like, all of my friends and the people who listen are like, this is the greatest song ever. And I like everything I do, don't get me wrong. But then there are like other tracks on the record where I'm like, did you hear that one though? Because that, like, you know, I'm like, that one's like way better. I don't know how y'all are, you know. And so like I kind of already have been feeling that a little bit. And I think it's like, I think a little bit of both is good. Like, I think I always want to make sure I have a relationship with my fans. And I think the artists that do like fan service really well are really cool. Like, you know, there's even like Tyler example, there's so much like lore, you know, I forget what it is, the 7th track or 11th track or something. He does like a 2-parter track. It's like every single album, and they're always like, oh, Tyler drops every 2 years and this and that. Like, I like when there's like lore and stuff, and so I want to engage my fans in that way, where it's like, you know, throwback to this track, and it's like, this is a callback, and remember when I did this, and they're like, oh, Skippy always does this, and we love when he does this and that, and like kind of stay true to that, because I think I've liked that for artists that I've listened to growing up, and I want to create that experience for my fans. But I don't think I would ever get to a point like if I make one song and it's like, okay, I like it, but that's the one that's like absolutely everyone loves. They just want more of that. Like, I don't think I would ever get to a point where I just throw away all the things I would want to be doing just to make another, you know, a What's Poppin' 2 or something like that, you know. Like, I'd just be like, you know, I have other things I want to do. And yeah, I guess I would just hope. I think part of that just comes as I get bigger, like just kind of establishing that as my thing. Like, I think if you present yourself in a certain way, and you like build fans a certain way, you don't really have to deal with that, because your fans like, no, you know, nobody's going to leave Tyler because he did something interesting on his new album, because they all have come to expect that that's what he does. He just makes music he likes, and that's what his fans enjoy. So I like to think that, you know, the fans that I have along the way will understand that that's the way that I am, and that'll be part of the reason that they like me. So
I really loved growing up watching the connection that Kurt Cobain or Mac Miller would have with his fans, just being able to be yourself, and they just rock with you. They love your goofy side, the way you hold yourself, really just falling in love with you as a person, not on a serious level, but on just a fan level. But I feel like it's good to have that fan connection. You know, they're the reason that you're at this point. They're the reason that your song has this many views, this many likes. I wouldn't say that I'd get too into the 100% fan service, because at the end of the day, I'm making what I like. And, you know, the people that rock with it. So I would say I'm like you, 50-50 on it, where I'm making stuff that I know they'll like, but that I also like as well. So I kind of find the mode between both of them and kind of operate that way. That makes sense.
Okay. Final 2 questions for you. So the first one being, so the software you guys use to produce music, right? What are some of the headaches you found within that software? And then remind people what that software is.
Yeah. So, okay. I'll remind people that I use Logic and also Pro Tools. I use Logic Pro for producing, composing, writing music, and I typically use Pro Tools for editing and mixing. And the reason I do that is because of the headaches that either of them cause me in specific areas. Logic being, I hate editing in Logic. It's just super annoying. It's not like very intuitive. It's kind of hard to like flip between the two. Like I'm not very fast at it. I'm sure there's Logic gurus who are quick at it and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's not that intuitive for me, and it's not as easy as it is for me in Pro Tools, which is why what I usually do is make all my beats, record, vocals, do the whole like production in Logic, bounce all of that into Pro Tools, which also helps because then you have like a nice clean slate of like full audio to work with, and you're not dealing with like all the clutter that your Logic project had. You have a fresh new slate and you can just focus on mixing. So yeah, it's like Logic, I just don't like editing and mixing in that. And then Pro Tools, everyone knows, like writing and producing beats in Pro Tools is like terrible. So it's like works out perfectly because I wouldn't want to make a beat in Pro Tools, and I love making beats in Logic, and I wouldn't want to mix in Logic, but I love mixing in Pro Tools. So it's like, it's my yin and yang,
My biggest one is, once again, I use FL, but your song or your beat just crashing out of nowhere and not being able to get the backup, losing the track.
Oh my Lord.
Biggest headache that will happen.
Does FL not back up? Like
it's supposed to.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to. It doesn't.
Oh my Lord.
Wow.
So you'll be sitting there, you'll be making your song, you'll be in the groove. Boom, out of nowhere, pitch silent. You're sitting there like, what just happened? The whole app closes. It is the biggest inconvenience. So you're stuck there like, do I remake this whole thing that I just did, or do I just start with a whole new idea?
Dude, I'd throw it away. Like, I don't know if I could, because I get so attached to my ideas, but like, dude, I couldn't. Both Logic and Pro Tools, thank God, back up. But if I lost a whole track, I've like fantasized about how terrible that would be. I don't know what I'd do. Quit music forever. I don't know. I just give up.
Yeah. Final question for you guys. This is a tough one, all right? Not too tough, though. I'm not going to be that harsh on you guys. How'd you get your name?
Mine is, oh, wow. Okay. So mine is, there's a game. I don't know if anyone is familiar. It's like a party game / like we did it in theater and stuff. It's called Paranoia. Has anyone heard of this game? I remember that. Yeah. You like flip the coin. Yeah, you flip. Paranoia is everyone sits in a circle. Like I said, it's like a party game thing. Everyone sits in a circle, and basically one person leans over to you. They ask a question, and then you answer out loud. And it's always asking a question. Your answer has to pertain to somebody in the group. So you're saying a name. You're like, Sam, and that's your answer. And then Sam sitting over there is like, oh no, what was the question? Because they say it secretly, and then you flip a coin, and if it's like heads or whatever, you say the answer, or you say the question out loud, so everyone gets to know what you answered, Sam. But if you say or if it flips tails, you just move on. Nobody ever gets to know what the question was. So we were playing that, and like my name got answered like multiple times apparently. And I'm sorry, this is a little graphic, but they were like, who would you want to lick peanut butter off their entire body? And I don't know why people ask that question specifically. Like, different people differently asked the question, and it never revealed itself. So it was like the question had been asked for multiple times, but we didn't hear the question every time until finally like the last one. And the question was revealed, and then we found out, we were like, wait, I said it, blah, blah, blah. And everyone like found out that basically I had been said for like 3 different times. I'm like 6'3", so like I was like, let me not trip too much, because it's really, most people were just like, because he's tall and there would be more peanut butter. I'm like, all right, whatever. But so Skippy from that point on became my nickname. So that's where my name came from. And then because there are a lot of Skippies already making music, I wanted to make sure I had a name that, people didn't have. So I added stone to the back because of skipping stones, and I like skipping rocks. Duluth is like my favorite place ever. Skipping rocks in Lake Superior. So, and it flows nice. It all worked out, and people supported me when I had to change that to that too. So yeah, Skippy Stone, that's me.
Yeah, the way I got Hthadreamer, H comes from my name, first name Hector. The Dreamer comes from, I listen to a lot of J. Cole's music, so Dreamville, I like a lot of the stuff they do. I like just, J. Cole had this commercial he was doing when he released his shoes. They were the Pumas, and the slogan had something just with the Dreamer at the end, and I was like, I like how that sounds. So just combining the H from my name with the Dreamer, I was like, that sounds really good. It's like all together. It's just like, oh, you're a dreamer. You know, you got all these ideas, all this, all that. So that's why I really got mine.
Yeah, with those commercials were recently, right? Like a couple years back.
A couple years back.
I remember seeing those like on Instagram. Yeah. Those were tight.
People's names are genuinely in depth. Like finding it is so internalized, it's so personal, and there are some people who are like, oh, because of this, and it was so easy. Like mine is pretty. Don't get me wrong, chocolate espresso was pretty easy to come up with.
Yeah,
but it's still very personal to me. It's like I'm chocolate. And I think people need to wake up to this kind of content. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was going to ask where it came from. That's what's up.
That's what it is, man. Okay. It's chocolate and an espresso.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I just drink a lot of coffee, and sometimes I like the espressos, and I also like chocolate espressos. So I also like listening to chocolate espresso podcasts. So. So, if people want to come find you, how can they find you? If they want to reach out, how can they reach out to you? And if you want them to reach out to you, what can they reach out to you for?
I mean, first of all, you can find me on all music platforms under the name Skippy Stone. And then otherwise, Instagram is my main place. I'm not really on much of the other things. Skippy.stone on Instagram. Tap in there. That's where I announce all the albums, EP coming soon. So tap into that to find out more information on that, shows, etc. You know the drill. That's where you can reach out to me too. Shoot me a DM there. I mean, yeah, just if you like what I do, like if you want to just give me a shout out and just say, hey, I like your music, I love to hear that, obviously. So don't be shy. Otherwise, if you want to work on something, I do beats. I also mix, and if you want to feature whatever, just hit me up, DM.
Nice.
Yeah, same thing. I use Instagram a lot for most of my business and all of that. So on all the social media, it's Hthadreamer, HTHA Instagram, I'll post my album artworks. I'll post songs, snippets on there. Really just all the behind the scenes stuff. If you guys ever wanted to see that. If you guys want to hit me up to work, I'm still the producer at the end of the day. So I'll make beats, I'll do features, anything kind of to the same extent as Skippy.
Yeah.
That's what's up, you guys. Hey, listen, you guys didn't say it, but say your age real quick, just so people kind of know. Date yourselves.
22.
I'm 18.
Look at that. Look at that, man. If they can do it, you can do it. Definitely reach out to the producers. Give some good feedback. Listen, a lot of feedback is necessary. They don't know if we're doing anything wrong. Be polite about it, of course. I mean, you don't have to be a butthole. We're trying to keep it clean, But listen, that fly I was talking about earlier? Let me tell you something. That fly's cousins, aunts, sisters, brothers, flies, dogs version. I don't know what that'd be. A gnat. Gnats, cousins, uncles, daddies, fathers. That's his grandpa, by the way. Aunties, brothers, sisters, brothers, uncle. Second twice removed's aunt said, hey, you should like, share, and subscribe to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. We're out.
Ja. What an outro.
It's a hard one to follow. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. A special shout out to Green Screen Studios here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can direct message us either on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's always going to be chocolate_espresso_. Listen, we really appreciate you. I said it once, I said it twice. I'm going to say it a billion times if that's what it takes. if you guys want to reach out to us, especially if you know anyone or if maybe you want to be interviewed about your job, the goal is to really teach a lot of youth about the different opportunities that are available to them. College is great. It's always going to be great. Not everybody wants to go to college, or maybe college just isn't on the table right now. So I want to push as much content that pertains to jobs and jobs that may or may not require college. Maybe you just need to network. Maybe you just got to put a lot of work into the beginning as an entry-level person. But, you know, I really look forward to producing as many interviews as I can and posting it. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.